Did you hear about the breaking news? The breaking news of a new mock draft. Let's go. What's cool and what's going on? But about the news, there are like all these quarterbacks getting injured. Like, seriously, what the heck's going on right now? You've got three quarterbacks: Justin Fields, Joe Burrow out for several months, JJ McCarthy out for several weeks. I don't know. It's getting crazy and it's going to shake up the draft order. So we're ready to go with another mock draft. This time we're going to do 2 rounds. It's going to be more of a picture and template that gives us a little bit more pool of players as well, because not all the players are on the simulator right now. And I understand it's so early and it's not easy to code and all those sort of things. But with this mock draft, here we go. You can see the first 6 picks already there. New York Jets. This is also my own draft order. I made it up, so it's still too early to tell. As we get into more of the season, I'll go more along those lines. But with the Jets, I'm taking a quarterback. If you're picking number 1 overall, I think any of these teams picking inside the top 5 could really be looking at quarterback. And there's a validity for any one of these teams to do that. Jets, Drew Aller. To me, Aller is the Justin Herbert type of prospect in this draft class. The potential for him is there. You want to see it for his bigger games, but he also shown flashes in bigger games. You go to Oregon last year, of course, in that championship game. He really stood up. He stood up and played really good football. And even throughout the Ohio State game, I thought he played better football than people gave him credit for. The receivers were getting pressed up the wazoo. Aller, to me, is the guy that I feel most confident about right now in this draft class. And then for the Browns, I think Francis Mauigoa is the tackle that I feel most confident about right now in this draft class. Even though there's some really good tackles, and there's some guys I even left out in this mock draft that I think have first-round potential very, very easily. Just need to dive into the film this year. I haven't quite gotten to guys like Xavier Chaplin this season, so I want to see how he's improved so far. I think Francis Mauigoa, though, adds a huge addition to that offensive line, and that's why I said, look, they've got so many quarterbacks. They got Gabriel, and he actually did play well, even though that defense, they were kind of at that point just like, who cares sort of thing, right? For the Ravens, it almost seemed like they were walking at times. But hey, Gabriel made a nice pass in the corner of the end zone. He made a couple of nice throws. I think he's a guy that we need to see more of as a season. He's going to get an opportunity. Maybe Shedeur gets an opportunity. So I'm not ready to jump ship just at this moment. I want to change it up a little bit because I'm sure you're tired of seeing, quarterback, get thrown down your throat. So maybe, who knows? Maybe one of those guys works out, and you got a Francis Mauigoa to protect him because they need to protect him. That's definitely a big area that they have to improve upon. That offensive line is getting older. And then at the edge position for the New Orleans Saints, I'm going to take the Bane machine. He gets the juiced up. He is a extremely explosive pass rusher that is going to add a lot more presence that this team needs. I get it. Like, Grenderson's been a good player. Jordan's more of a rotational player at this point. Even Chris Rumph has made some plays, so I got to shout out Chris Rumph. He was an impact. And I know that he's a guy that is still young, too, that could develop into a really good football player, but I can't pass up on Ruben Bain. And if I do want to play devil's advocate and not go quarterback, maybe Tyler Shuck is waiting in the wings, and he's just ready to go by midseason, comes in and dominates. And Spencer Rattler has not done anything to give up that job at this moment. He's played solid football. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and go a little bit of a different option here. And Ruben Bain's an absolute stud. I can't really pass up on him. I think he's a top 5 pick. Carolina, I'm going Fernando Mendoza. If you're picking top 5, I think that signals that more than likely Bryce Young hasn't worked out this season. He did play good in the second half. That offensive line played way better, which is the key for that football team. If you cannot protect, I say this with any quarterback in general, of course, but like especially when you have shorter quarterbacks, if you have pressure coming up the middle, it is so challenging. And that's what was happening in the first half. And Bryce Young could not see nothing. And he was playing like garbage. And then the second half, they just woke up and that offensive line was way better. And Bryce Young looked coincidentally way better. I will say Xavier Legette, still want to see more of him, but you got a number 1 with Tetron McMillan. That guy looks really, really good. Sucks Coker's out, but that is what it is. Mendoza going to be the selection here. As I said before, it's tough. It really is. You got to see more of Bryce Young. I'm not ready to throw in the top. I love Bryce Young. I really do. And I do think he still can be a franchise quarterback. Mendoza is more of the opposite quarterback of Bryce Young in many ways, right? Big, tall, Drake May type of prospect, in my opinion. Jerome McCoy from Tennessee to the Miami. Shall we just call him the Hurricanes? I don't know, like that. I'm joking. But hey, I think the Hurricanes might have a better secondary than the Dolphins right now. Their secondary is so bad. It is horrendous. We need to improve it. You can make the argument for Downs. I'm going with a little bit more of a corner here. I think that McCoy, with the positional value, if you want to call it that, I get it. You take the best player available. I think McCoy is right there as top prospect. If it weren't for injury, I think I would be putting McCoy as a top 3 pick in the draft. Like, I'm ready to go that route. I think McCoy is that good of a football player. You go to last season, besides the Andrew Armstrong tape, he was impeccable. The dude is fantastic. Top tier cornerback prospect. I just don't really know. I feel like he doesn't have a whole ton of weaknesses in his game. The dude is a beast. Dolphins need secondary help. The Titans, Jordan Tyson, a Titan for a Tyson. I don't know. Whatever words you want to play on that, they just need a number 1 weapon. This week wasn't terrible. Ridley played better. IE Manor played really good too. I just still feel like they could add another weapon in the value for me. I think Tyson is worth this pick. I think he's a really good football player. Edge rusher wise with Ruben Bain now off the board. You could go with Folk. You could look at a TJ Parker. Still want to see a little more from those guys. I feel like Tyson has a little bit higher of a floor and a guy that can be a really, really good impact right away too. For this football team, get Cam Ward a number 1 of the future. Then we go on to the G-Man, Spencer Fanu. He doesn't have the penalty issue, okay? I'm telling you right now, no big penalties with Fanu, at least so far. All right, things can change, of course. But a super athletic freak. The guy's got lateral agility for all days. He's got that mauler instinct as well in the run game. He's not the most powerful guy, don't get me wrong. Like, his anchor is the problem. Like, he just needs to get stronger. If he can get stronger, though, the guy has rare athletic traits to be a dominant right tackle for this team. I'm sticking with his teammate here at Utah, Caleb Lomu, and I also like Lomu. I don't think he's any slouch either. These guys are neck and neck. You can make the argument Lomu's better than Fanu. Very good tackles there at Utah. Arguably the best tackle group in college football right now. Lomu's also a very good athlete that can get to the second level and a very good pass protector. And the Bengals, well, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. I don't need to explain that Joe Burrow keeps getting injured because the offensive line is putrid. It's horrid and not good. I think we already mentioned that a couple of times. Caleb Downs for the Chicago Bears. This is BPA. I get it. If Brisker stays healthy, Brisker is a good football player, but Byard has struggled actually through the first couple of weeks. I've noticed him get beat a couple of times and be out of position, which is unlike Kevin Byard. I think he gets better as the season goes along. I think the defense in general will get a little bit better, especially as they get healthier and whatnot. But for right now, I'm taking Downs, especially if Brisker, the injury still is going to be a thing. And for the future, Downs is just such a good football player. He could be that long-term answer in there for Byard that they could move on from after this season, if nothing else, if they really wanted to. Number 10, Skull. I know it's kind of sad right now. J.J. McCarthy injured. I'm going to go take a corner. Keith Abney from Arizona State is a monster. He's so good. Every time I watch Abney, I just remind myself how good he really is. I was watching some more film on him today. I'm like, yeah, this guy's a stud. He's one of the best corners. I think he is the second best corner in this class. The dude's fluid. He's such a fluid athlete. He can thrive here for Brian Flores because he's also got tenacity despite the lack of elite size. If you want more size, if Flores says, hey, give me somebody with some long arms and some press ability, let's go Will Lee. I think that would make a lot of sense at this point too, because Will Lee's another guy I really, really do like as well. But I mean, he has a little more or less the agility per se. He's more of in your face. Think of it like a J.C. Horn type of guy. Keith Abney, though, here to improve the secondary. Raiders, number 11. I'm going Mekhi Lemon. They need help at the receiver position. Thorns look decent. I will say he's looked pretty solid. You got Jacoby Myers going into a contract year. It makes sense to add another weapon into this offense. You got Brock Super Bowers. I love him. You got Michael Mayer. Good two great tight ends. You got Genty, of course. So they do have playmakers, but you still need an outside threat. And I think that Mekhi Lemon, while he might be more of a slot option, he could fit right in for Jacoby Myers and be this team's number 1 as that wide receiver, per se. And then Brock Bowers, of course. And then tackle for the Seahawks, pretty self-explanatory here. Seattle, let's continue to invest in the offensive line. Trevor Goosby, a lot of upside. Still needs to get better with his hand technique. Very, very good linear athlete. I still question some of the agility with him. I definitely don't question the lateral agility or the linear agility or the linear athleticism. Wrong terms of words there. But Goosby, man, he definitely has some upside with his raw power and length. Then we go on to the Patriots. New England, they had a great game versus the Dolphins. They broke that stretch. Dolphins probably like, oh, it's going to be, we got this. We were going into the Patriots, and we always played them well. They did. The offense wasn't the problem. It was a good defensive showing it was a good offensive showing from the Patriots to be able to outscore them, and obviously a very nice, timely kick return as well. That was back-to-back, which was awesome to see. We're going to go on the defense side of the ball and be able to stop more teams with TJ Parker, the power rusher from Clemson. And I just figure let's go ahead and improve the pass rush. It's still a big need for the team. And then we go on to the Broncos. CJ Allen, a great linebacker from Georgia. Oh, man, he has got the instincts for days. Georgia linebackers, though, you still wonder, can they be like coverage guys? I think that the Broncos, the way they use their linebackers, he could fill right in for Singleton. He's going to be a run defense monster. He has just got the crazy instincts for reading keys and being able to always be around the football. That's just CJ Allen. Like, I'm always watching Georgia. I'm like, yep, there's CJ Allen making more plays. That dude's a monster. Carson Beck to the Pittsburgh Steelers here at 15. As controversial as it may be, I like Beck. I really do. I think Beck's underrated. I think he's a guy that if he can continue to limit the mistakes, he is a guy that I fully feel is a first-round prospect. And yes, the decision-making under pressure has been, I think when we go into the season, we get into those bigger games for the Miami Hurricanes, that is going to be the true test on whether Beck is a first-round pick or not. There's no questions for me about his accuracy or his overall, like, reading the football field and processing, stuff like that. I think Beck does it at a really high level, especially when he's got a clean pocket. He's one of the best passers in college football from a clean pocket. It just comes down to the decision-making under pressure that is really why he came back and why I think that scouts, what they're going to be looking for with Carson Beck and whether or not he is a first-round pick. I think, though, that he is a super talented player, plenty enough arm talent, a sneaky athlete, and definitely has the processing know-how to be an NFL quarterback. On to Houston Texans, its offensive line. I think that's the biggest need for this team. Now, they did do a better job last night versus the Bucs until the second half, and then the Bucs were like, hey, we blitz all night. And that's what they did. Both teams actually did that quite a bit in the second half. They were bringing the heat. It was kind of fun to watch, actually. But we're going to improve the offensive line, going back to Penn State for them this time with Drew Shelton. Very big fan of Drew Shelton. I think Shelton is underrated right now. I love his hand technique. I think he's got powerful and very good hands. I think the way he uses his hands is already very impressive. I don't know if he's as good as a guy like Caleb Lomu right now with his hands, but he's very, very good. And I think that he's somebody that certainly I feel is worth a first-round pick. You could even put him at guard. You could put Howard back at guard. You can figure some things out. I would like Ursary even at guard. Like, for me coming out, I feel like Ursary was more of a guard than a tackle. And that we're just still going to watch. I thought Ursary, is a guy that, we'll see if he can develop and whatnot. Ultimately, Shelton's a guy that I think could play tackle, play guard for this football team. They just got to improve the offensive line. And I feel like Shelton's the best next of offensive linemen here. Or Connor Loon would be a good option too. I think he's a very good player. And then Dallas, I'm going Will Lee the third, the corner from Texas A&M. You either love it or hate it with Will Lee. I love his physicality. And when you look at corners in the league that are successful, you have to be physical, I feel like. I get it. You worry about the grabbing a little bit, and you've seen that from some guys through their careers, the Joy Porters, the J.C. Horns, or whatever. But Will Lee is that next guy that can be that Trevon Diggs replacement if they need it. Or maybe Diggs gets healthy as the season goes along and plays a little bit better. But Will Lee really, to me, can add another big-time cornerback that can shut down dudes and get in your face. You saw him the Notre Dame game. While he had some ups and downs, let up some plays on the sidelines, also had some big-time stops. And mainly that one it was like a 3rd and goal on the slant route. That was a big-time stop. That was a great game. Texas A&M Notre Dame, very good watch. But Will Lee had some big moments. And versus a good team, you're going to expect also some catches. I felt like none of them were like super concerning for me. Will Lee played a really solid game. And for a team that you're going against too, a big time competition, that is what I like to see. So Will Lee, definitely like him still. I really like him. And I think he can be somebody that certainly can rise up boards more and more. Doesn't have the crazy athleticism. So that's something that's going to be knocked with him. On to the Browns here, Johnny Mateer, Johnny Football, the new Johnny Football. I love John Mateer. And yes, he is got some Johnny Football tendencies to his game. He also reminds me a lot of like a Baker Mayfield. He's got Baker Mayfield meets Patrick Mahomes meets Johnny Manziel level tendencies to his game. The toughness level is Baker Mayfield quality. The way he sidearm flicks it and does all these creative stuff, like that's Patrick Mahomes. Some of the running ability and like the overall Houdini stuff and maybe a little bit of the lack of the, decision-making things, that reminds me a little bit of Johnny Manziel in many ways. But ultimately, like John Mateer, if you can develop him, maybe they learn their lesson from Baker Mayfield in that situation because, that Baker Mayfield, let's go, one of the best stories in the NFL right now. Arizona, I'm going offensive line. Caden Proctor, the big behemoth there over at Alabama. I do worry a little bit about him and his overall condition. I think that's an area he needs to work on. But more or less, what he needs to work on is his hand technique. That is the biggest thing with Proctor that needs to be improved. His hand technique and his leverage are dreadful right now. And he actually has way better agility and recovery ability than people would give him credit for. And that's why I'm not like throwing the Evan Neal label on him. I just, I think that's lazy scouting in many ways. You worry more about the technique and the conditioning is going to be the big thing. But ultimately, the talent and the athleticism for a guy his size is actually very impressive. On to the Rams. Mansour Delane, the Frenchman. No, I'm joking. He's not French, but Mansour. What a great name. Right? I think it'd be more of Italian. Mansour. I think it'd be French, I guess. But either which way, Mansour Delane, cornerback from LSU. We're not here to learn about languages, even though if you are, don't ask me. I took Spanish for 3 years and I barely passed. Oh, it was so tough. I was in after class like every day on that one. But Mansour Delane has been dominant this season for LSU. He's transferred in and he has been as like what we were looking for last year for Virginia Tech. He's been a lot better and definitely thrived in that scheme for them. And the Rams could still use a cornerback in the long haul. I think it makes sense to continue to add into the secondary. On to the Commanders here, LT Overton, the edge rusher from Alabama. I think he's just such a good football player. Feel like you're getting a very high football, floor with him. Somebody that continues to get pressure week in, week out, knows how to disengage blocks and just win one-on-one reps. And he's strong at the point of attack. He can get off in the run game. There's not a whole ton of weaknesses other than just converting some of those pressures into sacks. Does he have elite bend to get after the quarterback? That's really been the big thing. Is he a little bit of a Marcus Davenport type of player? Yeah, possibly. And I'm not talking about the injuries because Davenport's a good football player. He just injured all the time. Unfortunately, once again, got injured. That's really the big thing with Davenport. But I think Overton has some of those qualities. He's more refined than Davenport coming out too. On to Caleb Banks, interior defense lineman for the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, they got 2 studs there with Grover and Buck. But I want to continue to invest in the interior defensive line. And I think Caleb Banks is a stud. And when he gets back here for the Gators soon, he's going to show it. The guy is one of the most disruptive pass rushers in college football. And the Colts, why not get a little younger on that defensive line? Because Buck and also Grover are getting a little bit older. So I feel like that it'd be time to invest in another interior player that has immense upside at Banks. They can use him in a rotation, get more pass rush on the defensive line. I'm going Connor Lew here at center to be the long-term replacement for Jake Brendel for the 49ers. They just need more offensive line help and going forward and into the future. I think that is a key for them. Even though their offensive line this season hasn't been terrible, at least from my eyes, it's been okay. They haven't faced any opponents where I'm like, oh, yeah, you know what I mean? So we still need to see more from that. McKivitz did just get a contract extension. Trent Williams, week 1 was a little shaky. This past week, he was really, really good. Lew, though, gives him a long-term center. Edge rushers back-to-back here for the Chiefs, Lions. I know, not much shake-up here. Chiefs could be going after a running back. I could see that. They do need to establish a running game more consistently. Like Hunt's fine and everything like that. You got Pacheco. He's a free agent, though. I could see them going after a running back. Mateo Uiagalelei, though, does seem like a Spags guy. He's got that physical build. He's a little sneaky with his athleticism. He's crafty, knows how to use his hands, and certainly a guy that can be a threat. I'm a Ducks fan. That guy is a beast. David Bailey from Stanford. As a Ducks fan, I also seen this guy make a ton of plays, and now that he's for the Red Raiders, he's somebody that gives him some more juice. I need to watch some film from him this season. I've not watched him. I've watched him from the Stanford days. I know this guy has got elite bend, and he definitely gives you some more juice off the edge, and I think it'd be a good compliment with Aiden Hutchinson for them. I mean, he's not like a Marcus Davenport type role. If they're looking for something like that, then you're looking more like a Mateo Uiagalelei and LT Overton if they're available, or you can even look at like a Danny Dennis Sutton as well. Let's go on to the Baltimore Ravens here. Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon. He's going to be a yak machine. Could be their Isaiah Likely replacement if they lose him in free agents. I think there's a really good chance that they sign at least Andrews or Likely, of signing one of the two Likely. But no, sorry. Either which way, I'm going to add another tight end because even if they let go of one of those guys, they use 2 tight end sets quite a bit. Sadiq certainly could be an absolute weapon for Lamar Jackson in this offense. On to another Duck, man. We got Ducks coming all over the board. We got another Duck coming up here in a minute. But the Ducks are coming out in full effect, and we're going to take Isaiah World. We are the world. We are the chill. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done. But Rams, let's go and take that right tackle of the future, Isaiah World, with the elite traits that he has. Big time size. I'll say that. He could be that nice Rob Havenstein replacement. Or Mason Thomas, the Oklahoma speedster. Fits that Vic Fangio style that can drop back and do a lot of different roles, but it gives you some more speed off the edge. And that's been something. Their interior has been good and everything like that. Moro Ojomo's been nice. I think they could still use some more pass rush, though. Nolan Smith's a great player. Had another big run stop this week to basically close out the game. I think Mason Thomas, though, gives them some more pass rush, which Howie Roseman, that's the playbook, man. Let me pull out the playbook. What's how? Oh, edge rushers, defensive linemen, offensive linemen. Check. Boom. Bing, bong, boom. I know, it's pretty bad. On to the Buffalo Bills. We're going back-to-back safeties, and there's another duck. Dylan Thieneman from formerly at Purdue. You know how it goes. Everybody takes Purdue players because that's just the way it is. You know what I'm saying? That is what it is. But Thieneman is a great football player, has a knack for finding a way around the football field, and we're going to go ahead and snag him up here for this football team. Kamari Ramsey, safety, going to be a guy for the Cowboys to help replace Donovan Wilson. Not to mention Malik Hooker's getting a little bit older, so both of those teams, I feel like, really need to improve their secondary. The Bucs, we're going to find that long-term Levante David replacement, Sonny Styles. And linebacker is a position I do feel like they can improve upon in general. And even going into last night, Savache Dennis had a bit of a rough game. And Levante David is still a beast. He's still playing. Almost had the interception. I think he just didn't expect it. He's like, you threw it right to me. Well, I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, it was literally right to him. But Sonny Styles, definitely a good football player, and I think he's one of those guys that just literally can be a chess piece for this defense, and Todd Bowles, who loves guys like that, who can play a little bit everywhere. Sonny Styles, I feel like he can work in for them. Then we go on to Cassius Howell to the Bolts. Unfortunately, Khalil Mack, oh my gosh, geez Louise. They just keep having big injuries for this football team. Like, if you had Rashawn Slater, Khalil Mack healthy, I think this is a Super Bowl caliber team at the moment. They still might be. They're playing lights out. Their football is on a different level right now. The defense is impeccable. The coaching is phenomenal. It's on a different league, it seems like. The safeties, Gilman, even Jefferson. And let's not forget about maybe Pro Bowl, not just Pro Bowl, or maybe he could win Defensive Player of the Year. Derwin James, geez Louise, what a night he had. Oh my gosh, dominant. Derwin James, you didn't throw to him. Like, just don't throw to Derwin James. He's that good. He made plays in the run game, pass game. He was just everywhere. Derwin James, a monster. I'm going to go add some more pass rush, though, here with Khalil Mack being a free agent. I'm going to get Cassius Howell, the edge rusher formerly of Bowling Green, coming over to Texas A&M, and he has been an absolute beast. Big-time run defense this week versus Notre Dame, too. Some key plays for them. On to back-to-back interior offensive linemen as we head into the second round. Jets and Browns go interior offensive linemen. Chase Bisontes and then Charles Jagasaw. Both great names, by I say. Woo! Jagasaw, I don't know. It sounds like a Scooby-Doo villain or something like that. And then Bisontes sounds like the governor of Florida or something. But maybe it's his long-lost cousin. But we're going to go grab two offensive linemen. Both of these teams need to continue to improve the offensive line. On the interior for the Jets, their tackle position should be solid. I love Fashanu, Mbu. Let's keep it. We'll see. Okay, I'm still in the verdicts out there, but you look at their interior, I think that's something that could be looked at with Elijah Vera Tucker and his injuries. And then for the Browns, like as I mentioned before, they're just getting older on that offensive line. So I'm going to double dip on the O-line. We're going to protect whichever quarterback is going to be slinging the rock out here. On to the Saints. I'm going Jeremiah Love in a little bit of a shocking maneuvering here of this one. And Alvin Kamara's getting a little bit older. Well, he's still playing really good and everything like that. He's going to be, 31 next season. And they still have not really found the number 2 guy. Maybe Devin Neal steps up as the season goes along, and we'll continue to evaluate this. I just feel like the value on Jeremiah Love at the top of the second, even though I do like Jonah Coleman a lot. He's still my number 1 running back. Jeremiah Love, I get it. The traits, you're projecting a lot of things. He's a super young player, one of the younger players in this draft class. And Love, Kamara, that combination, at least for a season, would be pretty cool to see in the offense. And build between the running game, right? They've got some good run blockers on that offensive line. Why not build and between now with get a good running back? Xavier Scott, they need help in the secondary, specifically at the nickel position. Chai Smith-Wade, it's okay. He's getting beat, though, and I think that they can improve in that department. Xavier Scott gives them that nickel back, a sticky cover corner there, and definitely going to improve the secondary to go along with J.C. Horn. And Michael Jackson. Sorry, that was a really bad impersonation. On to I know Michael's kind of rolling in his grave right now. Jeez, Sling, golly, get with it. And I'm not wearing a glove though. On to the Dolphins. Fins up here in the second round. Eric Singleton Jr. We might lose out on Tyreek Hill this offseason, so we'll go at another speedster in his replacement, in his aftermath. Singleton has speed for days. We go with Joshua Josephs from Tennessee, the edge rusher. Going to the Titans now. First round, we go at a weapon. Now let's get a pass rusher here. And Josephs definitely gives him some more juice off the edge. He had a really, really nice game versus Georgia, had a strip sack, and was definitely a disruptor for them versus a good offensive line. On to the G-men again, Arvell Reese, an interesting prospect with very good traits. Definitely has the elite traits. As we get more into this draft process, and as we see more of him as the Big Ten competition comes to in, that's going to be a big thing with Reese. He's looked great, though, so far this season, whether it's pass rushing and coverage, run defense. Reese is a beast. And then we got Zachy Wheatley from Penn State. Zachy Wheatley is a guy that I think with his size and tackling ability is very highly coveted in general. But when you throw in the fact that he's a very solid, like all-around athlete, he's a loose athlete. So for the Bengals, he could come in here and be that roamer in the back for Geno Stone. Like, he has the legit athleticism to play roaming and to be a good complement in that safety room. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and add here. And I feel like that continue to improve the secondary. It makes a lot of sense for the Bengals. On to the Bears. I don't know. I was trying to do something, but Dennis Sutton for the Bears. Bear down with another edge rusher, the pass rush. Let's continue to rotate in here. I'm still waiting for Booker to come back. That's going to be a big thing. That's why I don't see it as a first-round need. Montez Sweat had a good game, but ultimately they still need to add more because Sweat could be going to could move on from him and save quite a bit of money. It's definitely on the table, so we'll go ahead and continue to add more pass rush into the room to go along with Deo Odengbo. Vikings, skull back on the clock. I'm going to invest in the interior of the defensive line because they're getting older there, and it's something they do need to improve upon is stopping the run a little bit better, and I think Miller can give them that, a very stout run defender, and can be a good rotational piece with Allen and Hargrave. And then Rodriguez as well. And then we go on to the Raiders. I'm taking that developmental quarterback that I love, Darien Mensah. If you're looking for a developmental option, I think Mensah's the guy. Geno Smith had a rough game versus a very tough defense. So I'm not going and saying to bench Geno Smith or anything like that. You need to add more weapons into that offense. Would it hurt, though, to add a developmental quarterback somewhere on day 2 for the Raiders? No, I don't think so. And that's why this, to me, makes a lot of sense. To go out in this draft class, maybe round 3, round 4, even possibly would make more realistic for them. However, I still like adding somebody and with some developmental upside, a guy like a Darien Mensah, who I think has the Jordan Love type of ability to his game. We go on to the Seattle Seahawks here, and I'm taking a Denzel Boston. Let's add another playmaker. Cooper Kupp has not looked, prime Cooper Kupp or nothing like that. And at this point in his career, I think it makes sense to continue to add some more weaponry in here, even though Torrey Horton has looked really good. So you got your speedster, you got your slot number 1 with Jackson Smith, and now you add in your possession vertical guy over there with Denzel Boston. So that's kind of what I did. I tried to round out the room, and I feel like Boston's the missing link, if you want to put it that way. So that's kind of where I'm at with Denzel Boston. I feel like the value here makes a lot of sense and stuff too. So not maybe the biggest need or anything like that, but something we could look at this point. New England, Chris Bell. I'm going to go and take a weapon here for the New England Patriots. Remember, we went pass rusher in the first round, so let's go ahead and add another weapon in for Drake May. Chris Bell could end up being a first rounder. Just need to see how he does this season at Louisville. Obviously, the upside with Bell is A.J. Brown. He has the physicality. He's got that size. He's got that rare explosive burst for a guy his size. It just comes down to continuing to see more consistency. Whit Weeks could easily be a first-round pick. He is so good. And Denver could go ahead and find that 1-2 punch with him and also Greenlaw. So Dre Greenlaw, Whit Weeks, I think that'd be a fantastic 1-2 punch. Pittsburgh, Carnell Tate, wide receiver. They need more help. They need more weapons. So we got a quarterback, and now let's go add in a weapon for him. Carnell Tate can be that guy with DK Metcalf. You had 2 big-time playmakers. Hopefully Roman Wilson comes along as that slot guy, slot Z weapon, whatever. And Carnell Tate gives him another big possession receiver for Pittsburgh that they desperately need some more help at receiver right now. Houston Texans, Darrell Jackson Jr., the big, freakish, long-armed bull rusher that has been very, very solid this season at Florida State. Houston, they need some more youth on that interior defense line. They need some long-term answers. I think Darrell Jackson gives them that ability. We go on to the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys with Jonah Coleman, one of my favorite players? I think Coleman is an absolute stud. He is a fantastic bully running back with better speed than you give credit for. Yes, I believe that. Like, this guy can run over dudes, similar to Ashton Jeanty did last season. And he doesn't have quite the athletic profile that Jeanty has, but he definitely is a better athlete than people give him credit for. I really think so. I think he's going to test surprisingly well. At least he runs fast with pads. That's the most important thing. He's just an underrated back in general. He's such a tough guy to bring down. What's the way he's built? He's like 5'8", 220 plus pounds. He's got leg drive for days. So I'm going to go ahead and add a running back with Jonah Coleman, even if it isn't the biggest thing at Javonte Williams, who keeps playing like this, sure. On to the Jags now, 50. I'm going Damani Jackson, the Alabama corner who has played really solid this season. I still have some question marks about Damani Jackson in coverage. Sometimes I feel like his awareness isn't always there, and sometimes he isn't always sticky in coverage, but he's looked good so far this year for the Crimson Tide and been kind of a bright spot for sure. And the athletic traits with Damani Jackson are really, really good. I could see him being a first-round pick when it's all said and done. I know he is a big time. He's got a track background that speaks for itself. So Jackson, and it's on film too. Like, you can see him. He's got athleticism. On to the Cardinals. They need a little more dynamicism in their offense. So I'm going to go and add Zach Branch, who definitely gives him that. Give him the ball in his hands. Give him a screen. He can take that thing to the house. He just needs a little crease. He's got game-breaking electrical speed. And I think he'd be a great compliment with what they have in Michael Wilson and marvelous Marvin Harrison. Falcons, their defense has been a huge, huge plus this year. I mean, that defensive line looks incredible. But why not add another disruptor? He would be more along the lines of like a Caden Ellis replacement, because Ellis is a free agent after this season. If he's not re-signed, he's getting a bit older now too, so that's something where they may say, okay, we'll go ahead and look at a long-term guy with Diablo, and Harold Perkins could be that beast, right? And right in for Ellis there as that dynamic blitzer who can also drop back into coverage in limited roles. It's not Perkins' game right now, okay, but he can get better at that. I think he's just going to be so dynamic as another blitzer for this football team, and as a run defender, he's got speed for days. So you just add in like a Jalen Walker, Harold Perkins, James Pierce Jr. This defense is going to be so freaking crazy. And obviously with Dorless and Harrison, and I mean, it'd be crazy interior as well. I mean, they got some building blocks. Roro has also been really good too. I've seen him make some plays this year. Keeping the theme going here with the Houston Texans, they also get a linebacker. This was just value I can't pass up. Anthony Hill, could he be a first-round player by the end of this draft cycle very easily? Hill's a guy that's all over the football field, making plays, one of the better run defenders in college football. I think maybe just behind a guy like Torian York over here, who might be the best run defender in college football. That guy's got insane explosiveness. He just finds a way to get to the backfield. Elite speed there. Anthony Hill, these two guys, man, are fantastic. All three of these linebackers, I think, are really fun players to watch out for. Hill gives them that 1-2. Now can be, Toa can be that third linebacker for them. Christian Harris, ever since he's injured, just hasn't really been able to come back and be 100%, it seems like. So I don't know. We'll see how things go there. It just makes a lot of sense to pair him up with Azeez Al-Shaqir. I think their skills set complement each other too. So you add in Hill, I think he'd be a nice player for this football team. And then Torian York, as I just mentioned, this guy has been a dude that's been on the radar since a freshman. He is a beast. You pair him up with Franklin. Yeah, I just, the chasing speed that those two guys give you. York has got that type of speed where he just finds his way to tackle you consistently. The dude is a beast as a blitzer and as a run defender. Yes, sir. On to, and I think too for the Colts, this is another BPA type of pick for them. On to the 49ers here. I'm taking Max Clare, and I think that while it's not probably their biggest need, Kittle is under contract. At the same time, they use two tight ends, and Tonjes has been nice, and I do think you got to keep Tonjes as your third tight end. Farrell's been a solid blocker, but Clare can fill a little bit more of that role of being a good run blocker, but while also being a sneaky catch threat for them, especially with Kittle and his injuries and stuff like that. I think it still makes sense to add a tight end in here, and Kittle's getting a little bit older now, so Clare gives him some of that upside to be able to develop over the next couple of years and be that long-term number one for this team. He certainly has the athletic profile to do that. Okay, here we go. Kansas City Chiefs, Nick the Quick. They need a run game, as I mentioned earlier with their first round pick. Like I thought about even taking a running back there, but they need to add a good running back. Nick the Quick has got running, home run speed, right? He'll take it to the house in an instant. You give him a little bit of a lane. He's a great pass blocker. He's a good receiving option. Very good running back. A lack that it's just something the Chiefs lack right now. And then the Detroit Lions, I'm going to go take Jake Slaughter. I did this last week too, but I think it's something they're going to have to look at because Graham Glasgow is getting older now, and he has struggled. And he played better this week. The offensive line in general is way better versus the Bears. Night and day difference. Still, they need to think about that and continue to invest in the offensive line. Slaughter is a really nuanced pass protector. Interior defense line, the Godfather. Okay, if he wasn't injured, and he's come from a lot of things, and he's dealt with a lot of things, and he's continued to fight through health-wise. Rooting for Dante Coleon so much. When he is on the football field, he's one of the most dominant defensive linemen out there. And while the numbers may not speak to that, you just watch the film with Coleon. He's constantly a menace. He just is. He makes players around him better too. You pair him up with Matt Buki and Jones. That is a group. And maybe Peebles can come along as a situational pass rusher. I watched the game earlier this year from Nebraska, and I just couldn't help notice Coleon. Now, he is injured right now. He's out for a couple weeks at least, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, Coleon's a beast. Garrett Nussmeier. Woohoo! Here we go. I know I'm lower on Nussmeier. I still like Nussmeier. I think he's a guy that could end up being a first-round pick. And right now, he's probably the favorite to be a first-round, maybe the first quarterback off the board. I'm just not quite there yet. I need to see more consistency throughout a full season of play. And that is going to be the key for Nussmeier. I just don't know if he's got the elite arm talent either. And his accuracy is okay. It's not elite, though. And he misses too many times for a guy that maybe lacks some of those traits. On to the Eagles. I'm going Eli Stovers. Vanderbilt's been a fun team to watch, and Stovers has been a big part of that. Stovers, yeah, and I get it. Like a lot of the stuff, the way they do in the Vanderbilt offense is a little gimmicky and may not always transition, but Stovers has really, really good athleticism, and athleticism that's going to translate. And you hopefully bring back Dallas Goedert. And I'm not taking any role away from him. You pair him up as that guy with Goedert. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if Galcaterra doesn't come back or whatever. Then we got Vega Ione from Penn State, guard to the Buffalo Bills. Let's think about that left guard position of the future because David Edwards is a free agent. So if he's not back, then I think it makes sense to invest in the offensive line, keep a strength to strength. It's been a big-time strength for the Bills. Interior defense line, Dominic Orange. He's really good with his leverage. He's powerful, man. He's a better athlete than you would expect, and he can get after the quarterback. He's not going to be the most dominant pass rusher or anything like that, but he can fill in a little bit for a Kenny Clark type of role for this football team. Not that stopping the run has been a huge problem for them thus far this season, but you go ahead and get yourself a nice little run defender on that defensive line. And then we go on to Gabe Akis from the Illinois Fighting Alumni. I love this guy. Oh, my goodness. He was a guy that was on my radar last year. I think I even put him in a first-round mock draft. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up in the first round in this draft. He's definitely a talented dude with good size and very much has a athletic profile where he can bend the edge surprisingly well. The Bucs could use another versatile defensive lineman as well. And unfortunately, Kalijah Cansey's out for the season with a torn pec, which really sucks. But Akis definitely gives him some more help on that defensive line for the future with Reddick getting a bit older, and we'll see how things work there. Maybe get a contract extension. He's played pretty good so far this season. DeMonte Capehart to finish it up. We're going back-to-back defense lineman for the Bolts, and I feel like with Capehart, he had a really, really good week versus Georgia Tech and continues to be a bright spot for them in that defense line. Yeah, he's an older prospect. I just don't see how he's not a good football player in the NFL. The guy's got length, he's got great size, and he's got good athleticism as well. And if he can be more consistent with his hands, I think he can be a really, really good defensive lineman in the league for a very, very long time. So go to Jim Harbaugh and in that defense, and Minter, who's one of the best defensive coaches in the league, could teach some of that stuff up real quick. And he could be a dominant pass rusher too at some point. So Capehart definitely has the tools to succeed. That's how we're going to finish up this mock draft here, the 2-rounder. Let me know what you think, agree or disagree, though. I can't wait to bring some more mock drafts. And I may do some different videos here really soon. I'm thinking about I'm going to be starting to do the team individual mock drafts, but I might also start doing Madden rebuilds to go along with those. Just have some fun, like do 10-year projection rebuilds. I'm still thinking about that. I don't know. We'll play it by ear with that because I haven't done that in a very long time, but I do like kind of doing that and seeing how things go and like rebuilding teams for the future and how we could, figure it out with new teams and stuff. So we'll see. I may or may not do it, but I'm definitely thinking about doing it as an option because it is a lot of fun and I enjoy it. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great day and keep it cooling and can't wait for some more news.